The very, very simple petition. Then people ask, why do you ask for right to petition? He says that all other rights can be asked through the petition. So if I have right to petition, I can ask anything. So that is the importance of right to petition. So right to life also flows through the barrel of right to petition. If I don't have right to petition also, what kind of a society we are living in? If I am incarcerated for filing a petition, if I am harassed, if I am killed, if I am attacked for writing a petition, what kind of a society that we can boast of? Are we civilized? Are we human beings? Are we really an empowered group of citizens? This is the question. So the right to petition, again, inherently has its roots in freedom of speech and expression. Why do I write a petition? That is what John Stuart Mill, you know what he did? When British Parliament was trying to restrict the freedom of speech and information, J.S. Mill is not a journalist. He is not a legislator. He's a writer. He's a philosopher. He writes a letter. He writes a letter to MPs explaining why there should be freedom of speech and expression. And today that is available on Google. I suggest you to, not now, after the lecture, when you find time, please Google it, find it, and you will love it. It's a fantastic letter. John Stuart Mill, you must hang it on your table. If you are a professor of law, constitutional law, you must have it on your table. And even otherwise, if you are a lover of freedom of speech and expression, you should have it. A fantastic letter. He writes and he explains why there is a need. Then some people ask, do you have right even to tell a wrongful information? Now the question is, how does anybody know that some information is wrongful or some is rightful? The next question is, does it include, whether the right to freedom of speech and expression include to tell a lie? Again, the question is, who has to say that it is a lie? How do I know that something being spoken by somebody? How can I judge it as a lie or truth? Suppose somebody tells an untruthful statement, what shall we do? Should we abandon him? Should we banish him? Should we exterminate him or should we excommunicate him? What should we do? The question. Now, to be strictly speaking, strictly speak, poetry is an untruthful statement. Are we not relishing poetry? Should we write poetry or not? A story, a fiction, a movie, everything is untruthful. But does it stop us from understanding it? Untruth is not banished, except where you have a duty to tell truth. There you are not supposed to lie. Suppose you are in a court of law. Judge is asking, what is it you have seen? You are not supposed to lie. Suppose you are selling something and I am going to purchase it. You should not mislead me. Suppose I am a politician and you are a voter. I should not tell you untruthful statements. I should not mislead you. So wherever there is a reciprocal expectation of performance from other party, there is a duty to tell truth. Otherwise, there is no duty. There is no duty. If you ask me, do I have a freedom to lie? My answer is yes. If I say that, should I lie? I say, no, I should not, and you should not. Why it is so? Because there are certain responsibilities. I would just ask you one question. Will you lie to your mother? Whether your mother will any time lie to you in your family relations? Is it possible? Will you not speak truth to some of those who are very closely associated with you, at least? Answer is yes. So why do we do that? Is it because our government of India's slogan is Satyameva Jayate? Is it because perjury is an offense? Or is it because something else? Answer is no. Because we are naturally truth-speaking people. We are supposed to speak truth. And when we are habituating to tell lies, and what will happen? And we can give the example of present society. It will happen. This will happen. Every system will collapse if you go on telling untruthful things. So freedom of speech and expression allows a person to tell something without prior examination or prior establishment of truthfulness of it, reasonableness of it, requirement of it, so many other things you can add. So freedom lies in absence of prior restraints. I need not take the permission of a local police station to speak something to you. I'm addressing you from my place, but I have not taken any permission from district collector, chief minister of Telangana. No. Why? That is part of freedom. You also might have not taken anybody's permission. Tanisha Singh introduced without, I think, taking anybody's permission. So we speak on our own. There is no licensing for speaking. Even for freedom of speech and expression, which is being profusely exercised by the media persons, there is no license. Do you know that you can start newspaper without license? See, starting newspaper is not a kerosene shop or a petrol pump. It is an institution where knowledge is disseminated. So we need not take anybody's permission. I was once upon a time a very active journalist. Then I criticized the district collector's unimplementable statement. He was very angry. Then he said, we will cancel your license to run the newspaper. We were running a newspaper, daily newspaper in Warangal district. Then I wrote to him, Mr. Collector, so-and-so, please go back to your school and read some aspects of Article 19(1)(a). It doesn't require a license from you. I'm not running a ration shop. I'm not running a liquor shop to take license from you. Please cancel. If you have any license for me in that regard, please cancel it immediately. So that man came to know that freedom of press means there is no requirement of license. That is the point to be noted. That is the importance of freedom of speech and expression. Then I rate it as much above right to life. And if you take Article 21, what does it contain? First two words. Two important words. No person shall be deprived of life and personal liberty. Life is equated with personal liberty. And you please don't try to separate them. If life is separated from personal liberty, Article 21 is violated. I'm alive, but I don't have personal liberty. So what is the fun of living here when I can't talk, when I can't see, when I can't read, when I have to take permission of jailer to write my own Atmakatha? So why should I take license and permission for somebody? I think that is the importance of right information, right to freedom of speech and expression. And there was a dispute when Right to Information Act was being introduced in 2005 as to whether it has to be done by the state or the center. Very interesting. By the time there were certain state right to information acts, then when you consider right to information as an aspect of access to records, yeah, state as a duty, right, and responsibility, etc. But when you consider right to information as a facet of freedom of speech and expression, where are you? What do you talk about? Where from you find the roots? Where do you find the roots? You find the roots in democracy. You find the roots in freedom of speech and expression. You find roots in participation of person in administration. You understand governance. You are supposed to elect your own government. How do you elect your own government, without having information? And how do you exercise your right of franchise vote without knowing who your candidate is? When I am supposed to know who my candidate is, I just do not mean what is his name, age, photograph. Does he look well or not? I am not concerned about that. I want to know who is he, what was he, what did he do, whether he did anything or not. Did he study? Not. Finally, most important question I should know about them is whether they have committed any crimes or not. So how do I vote? So in my view, right to information has not come in 2005. right to information came in 2002. What is this 2002? Why I should say this? Because in 2002, Supreme Court stated that, told all political parties and government of India to make it mandatory, make it a mandate and make it mandatory for all contesting candidates to disclose their educational background, criminal background, economic background. Do you know, until then, it's a very, very secret information. Committing crime is a secret information. Can you imagine it? Some crime is committed, some FIR is registered, somewhere charge sheet is filed. If you ask for a copy of charge sheet in court of law, they say only party to the litigation should get. Who is party to the litigation? Criminal himself. Will he require a charge sheet? You are supposed to give him a charge sheet. And in a civil litigation, you again say that only party to the litigation is entitled. And that fellow contests. That fellow who has 100 FIRs with him, he will contest. And he doesn't tell before 2002. He doesn't tell whether he has committed crime or not. How do you know then? How do you know? Where is the way? Where are the means? If you have committed a public wrong and that is secret, if you contest and you don't disclose what you have done, that is secret, why should I vote you? This is the problem. Then one person, by that time, constitutionally speaking, you can't stop a criminal from contesting. Can you stop? Unless convicted. He is criminally accused in 200 cases. Can you stop him? I tell you, in Kerala, there is one MP with 205 crimes registered against him. How many, madam? 205. Now, my question is, when does he attend the parliament? He has to attend 200 cases in a year. At least you take once in a year, a case is posted. He has to attend 205 days, the courts. When does he come to parliament here? When does he discharge his duty? Why he was fielded, I am not going to name him. I don't want even to name the political party. I'm not interested. I'm only giving you an example. So he comes to parliament, he goes back, attends to all the courts, 205 cases. What will happen here to this country? What will happen to 7 or 10 lakhs of people who voted him to represent? What will happen to them? No, you can't stop him legally. Legally, he has a right to contest. Then one professor of IIM, Ahmedabad, he questioned, he came to court and asked, sir, I don't want them to be stopped. Let them contest. Let them be fielded by the people. But I want people not to elect them. And how do I enthuse people not to elect them? I will inform them, we have to inform them that this fellow has committed so many crimes. So you don't elect him. So I must have that opportunity to tell the people. Then what do you want for that? I want every contesting candidate to declare their backgrounds. That was the demand. Now tell me, under what law you can stop it? Which law you can hold that this information cannot be given? Anybody? Anybody from the law school? Can anybody tell me if there is any law that stops the flow of information? One question. The second question is, show me any law which facilitates that information. Neither of them. Neither of them. But there is one provision in Indian Evidence Act. Since when, madam, Indian Evidence Act, my dear students? Since when we have this wonderful law? Huh? Hundreds of years ago, 1872, am I right? So do you know there is one section called 74 and 76? Have you ever referred to? Don't do it now. Note it down and you can do it later. 74 defines what is public record. And 76 tells you have access to public record. Section 76 Indian Evidence Act says you have access to public records, and that has to be given to you by taking copying charges. So you tell me, when do we have right to information, my dear friends? When do we have? In my view, it is 1872. Still we are backward because we are not independent at that point of time. We are under British rule, 1872. A British rule granted us access to public records. What a wonderful thing it is. I don't want to admire it, but I want to record it. Yes, they gave us. Implemented or not. And if we do not know even today that 74 and 76 gives us access to right to public information, is it the mistake of British rule or is it our mistake? If we don't know, it is our mistake. Okay, 1872, but we are still late. 1766 was the year in which Sweden has given right to information. And do you know what it called? Right to information was called freedom of information, freedom of speech and expression, and freedom of information. Have you ever read Article 19 of Universal Declaration of Human Rights? Do you remember it? It says freedom of expression includes freedom of information. Unless you are informed, you can't express. So freedom of information is an inseparable part of right to freedom of speech and expression. That is the link I thought I should tell you because you're all law students. Now, if I do not know the information about governance, how do I express? Is the democratic question. What question? Question pertaining to democracy. What are the officers called according to law? What is the designation an officer is given according to our legislation? Anybody? What do you call them? Prime Minister, Chief Minister, Chief Secretary. What is the common name for them? Anybody?
The public servant.
Absolutely right. I appreciate that gentleman who said it. Public servant. What is the meaning of public servant? You are not an officer. First of all, you should know that you are not an officer. Second point is you are supposed to serve the public. He is not government servant. Please note, he is not government servant. He is public servant. So we should know the meaning of the words. We should know the meaning of the words. Not law, forget about law. In my view, do you know what is the definition of law? Law is nothing but meaning given to expressions. Nothing. Law is nothing. So you try to know the meaning of this public servant. We are the public and you are the servant. So public servant should not pose himself as an officer. Public servant should always remember, realize, understand, involve, and act like public servant. It includes from Prime Minister to the peon of an office. Peon of his office also is a public servant. Do you know why he is public servant? Because he has access to a topmost officer, which you don't have. Suppose you want to meet the chief secretary. You can't directly meet here. You have to be the peon before him should be kind enough to allow you. How he will be kind enough, you know the means. I don't want to tell anything. So he is very important. His very location at a strategic position makes him powerful and makes him possible vulnerable for corruption also. So we take 100 rupees and allow you to allow inside, whether you are a killer or not, doesn't matter. You know, I'll give you one very interesting example. Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated. Human bomb, first time in the world's history. The people asked, there are so many cordons around him. One security cordon, second security cordon, third wide security cordon. How is that it happened? A big question, governance question. I'm not saying that LTT is innocent. LTT is criminal. Fine, leave it. It is proved. I need not tell about the criminality of LTT. But what about your governance? What are you? You can't protect a former prime minister. In a public meeting, not in his hostel, not in his guest house. In public meeting, you can't protect him. What kind of a governance that this government has? Whichever is the government. I'm not again blaming the political parties. Question. Do you know the lawyer of a Nalini, counsel, standing counsel, or the vakil of Nalini? You know who is Nalini? Accused of Rajiv Gandhi, convicted of Rajiv Gandhi assassination. he had a press conference in Chennai. Do you know what he told? He was stopped. The Thanu and another lady, they were stopped at second cordon. They were not allowed to enter. And she simply pulled out 100 rupee note and gave it to the person who was supposed to stop him, and he allowed her. He is not a criminal. The officer or Jawan or whoever he is, who allowed her inside is not a criminal, not member of LTT. But did he facilitate the LTT crime? If he is an ordinary constable, is he a public servant? Will you not count this as one of the factors that led to assassination of former Prime Minister? Yes, answer is yes, 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 yes. So what is the duty of public servant? Integrity is the real security. Is not your security around me, 20 men holding guns. Integrity is the real security. Corruption is the real threat to security. Corruption is the enemy. China has built wonderful wall. But do you know how the attacks happened later? They bribed the gatekeeper. Finish. What is the use of strength of your wall? Meaningless. So similarly, India also suffered the attacks of foreigners, and we went into the what is that? We went into slavery because of corruption, because of lack of integrity, because lack of security, lack of everything. Not everything. You don't have information. You suffer. Now, why don't you understand that corruption is real enemy of the country? Why not we understand corruption is the terrible than terrorist? Corruption is terrible than terrorist. Now, I gave you the example. A terrorist could reach Rajiv Gandhi because of corruption. You tell me who is more powerful, LTT or corruption? Who is more powerful? Whether bomb killed him or 100 rupee bribe killed him, tell me. How do you understand this? Whether Nalini killed him or 100 rupees bribe killed him. Whether Thanu killed him or 100 rupees bribe killed him. Criminology asks you to understand the reasons for crime. You are all students of criminology. Don't read section murder section. वो तो आ गया है, सब लोगों को पता है. A constable is more better equipped than you on definition of murder. You should be better than him in understanding criminological truths, sociological realities, the reasons for crime. Reason for crime, one of the most important reason for the crime is absence of good governance. If you ask me about that lady who was ghastly victim of terrible crime in Delhi, Nirbhaya, my question is, why the RTA authorities did not check the bus, which is roaming in the main roads of the city throughout the night? 6 rounds, 7 rounds, 8 rounds. What were you doing? Don't you have even a single team or no information system to tell you that some bus is roaming around without license? Had one RTA authority stopped it, the rape could have been prevented. Am I right? Similarly, your traffic police, what were you doing when a bus is roaming in the dead of the night? Don't you have duty to check it? So am I not right if I say that 2 lapses of governance led to ghastly murder? Now you want to hang them. I don't have any sympathy for them. Hang them. But what about this lapse? Who will question this lapse? Who will ask about this? So what I'm trying to tell you now, till now, I spoke to you about the inherent link between freedom of speech and expression and right to information. Then again, I went on talking to you to tell you that governance is important for prevention of crime. Then another point I tried to make is corruption is the real enemy to good governance. And corruption, when it is a real enemy to good governance, what is it you are supposed to do? How do you prevent corruption? Prevention of Corruption Act, does it prevent corruption? Tell me one provision in Prevention of Corruption Act that prevents corruption. Tell me, challenge to you. My open challenge. Basti mein sawal. Can anybody tell me one provision which prevents corruption in PC Act? Go back home, search and answer me. There is not even a single provision. The title is a flawed title. Title is wrong title. Useless title. Meaningless title. It is Punishment to Corruption Act. That's all. If somebody proved to be corrupt, it will try to punish. So forget about it. A real Prevention of Corruption Act, do you have in this country? A real Prevention of Corruption Act. Anybody? IPC? No. CRPC? No. Constitution of India? Constitution of India is not a penal code. No. Then what? I say Right to Information Act. Right to Information Act is a real Prevention of Corruption Act. Now I'll tell you how it happens. I'll just give you one example. I don't read provisions of RTI Act and explain you because you're all capable of doing it. I can only tell you the peripherals of it. How do you enter into it and come out of it? I can talk about that. Once President of India, the Rashtrapati Bhavan was building a post-retirement house for President of India in Pune. Don't ask me the names again. You can imagine, you can collect later. A very big building was being constructed in Pune. Some army officer noticed that it is an extraordinary building being built on a land of army, a cantonment area, which is expected to be useful for the young and educated ex-servicemen. Then he wanted to know what it is. Somebody told that this is a building being built for the residence of the President of India after her retirement. Done. Then he got it out. Such a itna bada building ka zarurat hai kya? Should they have such a big building after retirement? You can ask the same question to Rashtrapati Bhavan also. Why do you need such a big building? But I don't go into that question. I'm not interested. Head of the state, if he wants to have a big building, let him have. I have no problem. Then after retirement, why should you have another Rashtrapati Bhavan? You don't need na. Then he filed an RTI question to Rashtrapati Bhavan asking for the entitlements of Rashtrapati after retirement. Rashtrapati office gave information. 500 square yards plot for an independent house or around 2,500 square feet built area for comfortable residence of a former president. Lifelong, government will bear the expenditure. As long as the former president lives, they can happily live in that building. Then all other information also came. It was very, very fortunate that Rashtrapati did not file a writ petition against the RTI requester that I don't belong to public authority. He did not go to Supreme Court, luckily. Do you know Supreme Court went to Supreme Court to say whether it is public authority or not? It's another great story. Let me not go into that now. So Supreme Court took 11 years to explain that it is public authority. I'm happy. At least they came to know the reality and they told that reality to whole of this great country. Fantastic. Fine. Congratulations. Thank you. Big thank you. Let me not go into details of that judgment. That takes us to another different 1 hour class. Whenever you find time, call me. I will talk about the judgment for 1 hour. That's a different game altogether. Now, I was talking about public authority. But President of India did not dispute that it is public authority. I'm very happy, thankful to public authority, President of India. Governors went to Supreme Court, you know that? President is public authority. Governor says, I am not public authority. Lieutenant Governor says, I am not public authority. Kya baat hai? Sab bade log hai. Public servants hai sab log. And we are public. Okay, republic. We are public and republic. Okay, these fellows, they went to, and there is a stay. Supreme Court kindly granted a stay on consideration of Central Information Commission that governor is a public authority and lieutenant governor is a public authority. A stay is ruling and they are happy they are not public authorities now. What a great fortune of the lieutenant governor and governor. We'll leave it. Then this gentleman rightly answered, and that gentleman, Pune gentleman, went to the cantonment area and filed another RTA request to know what is the plinth area of a planned construction for a retired president's residence. Contrast. Now I need not tell anything. The information given by Rashtrapati Bhavan, information given by the construction site, from the construction site. What do you find? The rules of Rashtrapati Bhavan are breached totally, terribly, without any hesitation. And he addressed a press conference. The gentleman addressed a press conference in Pune. And when do you find Pune's news in headlines all over the world? Yeah, when do you find? Only when such an occasion happens. It was in news. And do you know what is the effect? Effect is President abandoned the plan of having such a beautiful structure and retired to the required rules, allowed by rules, accommodation, whatever it is. And ex-army men got back the proposed building for their welfare activities. This is the effect of right to information. This is the power of right to information. Will you call it revolution or not? Is it revolutionary or not? You tell me. Should I say in your seminar that RTA is a revolutionary law? Should I say that? Is there a need for saying it? This is the point. So what I was trying to tell you with reference to 2002, that's a very important point. I would like to make a reiteration of the fact. When you think that you will not be allowed to speak out, when you think that your vote doesn't matter, all those old strong men will be elected and they only become prime ministers and chief ministers. And they don't bring any change in the law. My answer to you is, don't get disappointed. Look to that IIM professor of Ahmedabad, a small ordinary teacher like me and you, most of you. What he did, he simply went to court of law and said, please give information. Just I would like to know candidate A, how many rapes he has committed, candidate B, how many murders he has committed. That's all. इतना ही काफी है हमारे लिए, इससे ज्यादा मत बताइए. They do what happened. It gave notices, Supreme Court gave notices to all political parties. And to your great surprise and pleasure, perhaps, is that no political party was ready to give that information. No political party. This party, that party, you can name whatever party you want. If you like a particular party, name it. If you don't like a particular party, name it. They did not give, they are not ready to give any information. Then Supreme Court concluded that you have to give. Amend Representation of People Act and give this right. That was the direction of the Supreme Court. Do you know what happened thereafter? It went to Lok Sabha. The bill reads like this, terrible bill. What is that bill? Notwithstanding any judgment and direction of Supreme Court of India, no contesting candidate shall give any information about his background. That is the provision. Added in Representation of People Act. What a wonderful government. What wonderful political parties we have. Fantastic. Nobody opposed. Unanimously accepted. कभी सुने क्या कोई ऐसी कानून unanimously accepted? Everybody is same. Everybody is similarly against transparency. That is the worrying factor. I'm very, very worried. Then again, the approved professor of IIM Ahmedabad, Trilochan Shastri, unka naam likhiye, somewhere you please write. Trilochan Shastri, again he goes to, along with Jagdeep Chokkar, he goes to Supreme Court. Sir, see what Parliament has done. Judges, please be champions of our rights. Namaskar ji, namaskar. Prayer, प्रार्थना. Prayer का मतलब क्या है मैडम? प्रार्थना. My lords, give this justice, my lords. And my lords were pleased. and they gave wonderful judgment. That is the judgment 2002 ADR versus Union of India. Excellent judgment. Read it. Read full text, yeah, not head notes. And you will be enthused. I tell you, if you read that judgment, you will be enthused. Even if all political parties oppose, that means what? What is the meaning of all political parties? Entire country, entire politicians, entire officers, entire chief ministers, entire ministers, prime minister, president of India. Everybody opposed. But who won, sir? Who won, madam? An ordinary teacher has established a, registered a magnificent victory, substantial victory over all these, I don't want to use harsh language, all these great personalities. What is it we got? What is it we got? We got information about charge sheets. We got information about FIR spending. Today, Supreme Court says, a few years ago, if there is a disciplinary proceeding against an officer, it is his private information. What a contrast between 2002 judgment and this wonderful judgment. If you want to read it, I'll give you this name of the case. Girish Ramchandra Deshpande versus Union of India. You tell me, if an officer in his performance of public duty, don't call officer, a public servant in his performance of public duties to serve the public, he commits a public wrong, and there is a public inquiry against him, and in that public inquiry he was found guilty, and his increment was reduced by 1 or 2. Is it public information or private information? Common sense, common language, common law, common justice demands that this should be public information. Then what is private information? Great right to privacy, fantastic right of privacy. 9 judges upheld. If I ask about the name of his wife, the children, properties of the children, if I ask, why didn't you have 3 children? Why did you stop at 2 only? It is private information. I have nothing to do with that. Why should I know? Yeah, what is the fun? What is the use, utility? How many wives you have? Why should I ask that question? Why should I need it? I am asking you what you have done during your duty and what was the punishment given to you by the office. Suppose you are acquitted. Why don't you give that information? Supreme Court says it is private information. Girish Ramchandra Deshpande. And to your great surprise, I'd like to tell you, the landmark judgment of Supreme Court on privacy upholds Girish Ramchandra Deshpande, upholds. And what about 2002? Why should politicians tell their private information to you? And why not public servants give that private information to you? This is one aspect, one question for which I don't find any answer. You try to find answer, you make it a research project, make it an assignment, make it a moot court issue, make it a debate, or conclude with your own opinion. So you have a right to have your own opinion. No, whatever is done by my leader, I like it. No problem. You're a free man. You can have such wonderful opinions. I don't have any issues. So now the question is, again, it comes back to the people. I will explain that question and conclude, and I'll ask for your questions. Now, Association for Democratic Reforms collects information. Now, let me conclude the 2002 order. Supreme Court directed them, no, you can't sit in an appeal against the judgment of Supreme Court. You can't nullify the effect of Supreme Court like this. You are liable. You are liable, you are a duty bound to give information. Then they went back to Parliament. Parliament passed a law saying that every contesting 33A, I think, section 33A of Representation of People Act says every contesting candidate shall file in affidavit, in the form of affidavit, educational background, criminal background, and economic background. Now you have plethora of affidavits of all the candidates which we never read, not at all interested. इसमें कोई रोमांटिक पिक्चर नहीं है ना, बॉलीवुड हीरो नहीं है ना, we don't read it. But ADR, having fought for the right to information, poor ADR, it analyzes all that and tells you among the contestants, among the persons who have won Lok Sabha elections recently, 53% of the, I'm not sure about the percentage, substantive percentage of MPs have substantive number of criminal cases against them. Some of them are seriously charged with offenses against women and some other serious, like including rape. The question is why politicians field them. The next question is why people elect them. These are the three questions which are very, very important questions that come up after 2002 judgment of Supreme Court giving us right to information, and after 2005 enactment of Right to Information Act, and most importantly after Girish Ramchandra Deshpande, and most importantly after privacy landmark. Privacy not defined, you know that? Today we know that it is a fundamental right, but nobody knows what the definition of. Do you have a definition of right to life? Yes. Do you have a definition of right to freedom of speech and expression? Yes. Do you have a definition of right to privacy? No. Who has to do that? Supreme Court 9 judges collectively, uniformly said, 9 of us do not draw the definition, but 545 of you, please draw the definition. Now, whether it is possible for 9 or 545, I don't know. You can raise the question. So we don't have a definition of privacy today. The question is, without getting the information from the public records, how do you exercise your liberty of thought? Preamble. बहुत बढ़िया poetic preamble. Great poetry. Liberty of thought. हम सूचना ही नहीं देते, अब क्या सोचते भाई? सूचना नहीं है तो सोचना क्या है? सूचना का अधिकार, सोचना का अधिकार को डिस्टर्ब करता है ना? देन अगर सोचना नहीं है तो आप बोलेंगे क्या? आपका फ्रीडम ऑफ क्या है? फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन क्या है? अगर आप फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच को एक्सरसाइज नहीं करें तो डेमोक्रेसी कहाँ है? So where are we? Where are we? This is the question. I want to leave it to you. And I ask you to think about it. अगर आप इसके बारे में सोचिए, and if you don't ask for the information, you will not get it. If you don't ask, you will not get. If you want to get, ask. Who said it? Gandhi said it. Ask. One word message that RTA can give to the people is ask. 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 So thank you very much for your wonderful opportunity to share a few of my thoughts. Now you ask. ASK. It is up to you.
So now I request all the participants, if they have any questions, I request them to unmute them, to switch their cameras on and unmute themselves or put it in the chat box. We would be asking the question for you. Kunal, I request you to unmute the person who's asking the question. Please put it in the chat box, whoever wants to ask a question.
The participants are required to raise their hand. We'll unmute them accordingly if they have any questions.
So we have
Or
first
they can drop the
question
questions
here.
in chat box.
A participant is asking, sir, can we file RTI on former elected MP MLA?
On means what? On means?
Against them.
What is the question?
This
About
is-
him? Is it about him?
Shrajan Jain, I request you to switch your camera.
If it is about him, whom should you ask? Former MP. Whom should you ask? Suppose it relates to his 5 years performance in Lok Sabha. Ask Lok Sabha. You can ask Lok Sabha how many questions he has put and how many answers he has got. That you can ask. Other than this, what is the question that decides the forum? What is the question? Content of the petition decides the jurisdiction of the court. So unless there is a complete question, I have right to complete information about the question, so that you will have right to information about answer. Now I'll give you 2 or 3 examples myself. I understand your problem. If a former MP is supposed to deal with that scheme, local area development scheme. If that local area development scheme 10 lakhs per year, 10 crores, I'm sorry, 10 crores per year, they should ask Parliament. They should ask the department which is in charge of enforcement of the scheme suggested by MPs. You should ask them. In my view, every parliamentarian, former or present, should be amenable to RTA and should answer this. But it looks like a dream and desire here. Dream and desire. I desire it, but I don't know whether it can happen. Somebody asked me, what is your take on RTA, whether to bring political parties under RTA? I'd like to tell him that there is a judgment of 5 information commissioners bringing 6 major political parties under the arena of Right to Information Act, and they are fighting against it. They are not, sorry to say, they are not fighting against it, but they're not implementing it. If they want to really fight against the judgment, they should have gone to the Supreme Court or High Court of Delhi, challenging the judgment of Information Commissioner. They did not do that. When I asked a question, during my term as Information Commissioner, why are you not answering? They escaped by seeking adjournments. And then there was a bench, I was heading it. The bench could not continue hearing. And they saw to it that the bench will not constitute again until I retire. And I retired. So they were very successful. They are under RTA Act according to law as on today in force. But nobody is implementing. And another funniest part of it is, people are not asking any questions to political parties. It's not my mistake. I told you in the beginning, in the inauguration, if you don't use your right, you will lose it. Use it or lose it.
Another question.
Yes, please.
Question is, sir, what's your take on inclusion of political parties in the ambit of RTI, as it is also pending before the Supreme Court?
That's what I'm telling you. There is no case pending before Supreme Court. It is not correct. The Central Information Commission declared 6 political parties as public authorities under RTA Act. Then somebody like Subhash Chandra Agarwal and some other persons, they filed a writ petition, public interest writ petition in Supreme Court to declare all political parties, not just 6, but all political parties as public authorities under RTA Act. That is pending. Challenge is not pending.
Okay, sir. So we have another question. The question is, are private bodies covered under the RTI Act?
Yeah. That's a very good question. I'm happy that somebody raised this question. Basically, Right to Information Act is to provide access to public records. Understand, underline public. Understand, underline. Then most of the private information is under regulation and control of public authorities. Most of the private information. For example, companies. Companies' information is with Registrar of Companies. Do you agree? So you can file an RTI with the Registrar of Companies and get information about companies. Now you read section 2F of Right to Information Act, last 2 sentences after and, A and D and. इसके बाद एक sentence है, वो पढ़िए. You will get to know that there is right to information about private bodies also through a legislation which is already available.
Right.
Prabodh Kaur, right to something I disappeared. The question I thought of reading,
So
but it disappeared.
question is there right to demand for filing up vacancies of the teachers?
They have now. Where is the doubt here? Where is the doubt? My question is, why are you not asking?
Sir, the next question is that, sir, does RTI work for lands and property related issues or records? Like if one wants to inquire about the land he's purchasing from the realtor.
Answer is yes. And the revenue department is the concerned department. And collector is, of course, district magistrate, joint magistrate are the concerned officers. And every Gram Panchayat is supposed to maintain land records transparently. Every taluk, every revenue office, every subdivision of revenue is supposed to maintain the records. And yours, you can happily ask about that information, but I doubt whether you get it or not. But it's a fight, you know. You must ask for it. You must make them to give information. And to your surprise, I'd like to tell you, out of 80 to 90 activists who are killed after Right to Information Act has been introduced for filing RTA questions are killed. Most of them are killed because they are exposing land scams. So land scams are real scams, and you can have correct information from the officers. And that's a very potential information, very powerful information. It can dislodge so many powerful people from their offices. And that's the reason why they resort to killing the RTI acts. RTI seeks powerful information and fearful information. The most of the vested interests are fearing RTI. That's why they're attacking RTI activists.
Right. Kunal has, so there is another question. Kunal, do you want to go first and ask the question?
Yes, sir. Sir, with regards to the political parties, there was an issue with regards to the funding of the political parties, which is never disclosed. And we see that we apprehend that most of the times they breach the limits set by the election commission. So can that be brought under the ambit of RTI, and can judiciary play a role in the same?
Have you heard of electoral bonds?
Yes, sir.
कभी पढ़े क्या इसके बारे में? पढ़ना
Sir.
जरूरी है. पढ़ना जरूरी है. I'll tell you why. This electoral bonds scheme has been introduced to protect the donor, protect the information about the donor, and to protect the information about the receiver. Electoral bond is a big currency, like 5 crore rupees currency, 1 crore rupee currency, 50 lakh currency. So companies can purchase this currency note from the SBI and give it to a political party without disclosing who is giving whom. So they made law not to disclose the information.
So,
I hope I
sir,
answered you.
we have,
Please unmute Dr. Sangeeta. She has a question.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Sir, this is Dr. Sangeeta. Sir, I just want to ask the amendment which has happened in 2019, because did it really strengthened? Because I think somewhere it made it a weak legislation somewhere, because as you said that it was made by the people, but now the legislators, they are making it weak by adding their provisions. Sir, what is your take on it?
You have answered my question in the form of a question. Their answer again to add to you, madam, is they did not touch law anywhere. I'm happy for that they have not done it. But they have reduced the term of a commissioner, stature of the commissioner. The stature of the commissioner was Supreme Court judge. When I can proudly say I'm the last commissioner having Supreme Court judge status. You can celebrate it. But I'm not happy about it.
Sir,
I'm not
is it
happy
because
about
of you? Is it because of you only? Because sometimes you also summoned
can
the
blame me.
RBI.
You have freedom of speech and expression to blame me. Leave it. उसमें मत जाना. But let me tell you what happens. See, when I am of the rank of joint secretary, can I issue a direction to secretary? Simple question. Then next point, when I know that I can only be there for 3 years, not 5 years, which is granted by original RTI Act, I will be seeking for some other favor and I will not be independent. 5 years is a substantive period. You know, recently there is a Supreme Court judgment on tribunals, where there again they have reduced their term from 5 to 3, and Supreme Court heavily came down, saying that independence of the institution is compromised. Same rule works to commission also. Second, then reducing the salary, I don't bother about it. As Vajpayee has rightly said it, reducing the allowances doesn't matter, but reducing the term, reducing the stature. And third point is a very important point. It is not governed by law, but it is governed by the discretion of the executive. What is the term? That means any day the government of India can change the rules and say Information Commission will be there only for 1 year. This power is a fatal power in the hands of executive, which will destroy the independence of the commission. And if you destroy the independence of the commission, you will not get orders, directions for giving information. So they have struck at the roots of independence of the commission, and they struck the lethal blow on right to information. But still there is some life remained in it, and we are struggling to talk about that life.
One last question, like the farmers are sitting over there, like they are asking some provisions to be added, like they should be given the provision to just go to the court, because that is not added in their act, as they say. So isn't it again the violation of RTI, because they just want if there is any issue tomorrow, they should be able to go to the courts.
That's a terrible bill, I tell you. That's a terrible bill. They have to rethink about those 3 bills. There's nothing that anybody can be happy about that bill, except a few corporates. Nobody asked for it. You know that? Did anybody ask? No. Is it part of agenda of the present ruling party? No. Is it whether farmers demanded it? No. Whether market demanded it? No. Whether people of India demanded it? No. Whether BJP demanded it? No. Whether Congress demanded it? No. What to do? Yaar, kyun laya? Why did you bring it? Who asked you to bring it? When everybody says take it away, take it away. That's my answer.
Sir, I just have a question in furtherance of Sangeeta ma'am's question. So basically, I believe that the amendment is harming the essence of the original RTI Act. So I just had one quick question. How do you think it's affecting the rights of a common citizen of the country? Directly
correct. The common citizen has an independent forum in the form of Information Commission. And the amendment reduces the independence. So it is an indirect, it is not visible. The impact is not visible, like it has to be felt. And it will be felt when you find no orders of disclosure, when you find no orders of penalty imposition, when you find a stay order against giving information. First time I heard one commission, I don't want to name again, has issued a stay order on disclosure of the information. That means what? PIO wants to give information, First Appellate Authority wants to give information, but commission doesn't want to give information. कभी सोचे, कभी सुने ऐसी काम, ऐसी बात?
Sir,
Kunal Fuller has raised.
Kunal, can you please unmute
Ananya ma'am.
Shiva ma'am.
Shiva ma'am and Ananya
It's
ma'am.
up to you whether you have time or not. You have to check up. I don't want to intervene in that. Your authority.
So we have one more question till the time Kunal is unmuting the two
Madam,
teachers.
Yes.
Can documents obtained through RTI be used as evidence in court of
Madam,
law?
I would like to ask one question, please.
Yes, ma'am. We will just
Let
get
me
back
answer
to
this question. Initially, court said, Supreme Court and other courts said yes. But later they have developed different thoughts, and some of the courts says no. So there is a contradiction. But my point is, suppose I got the certified document of my seniority as fixed by the court, as fixed by my boss. Now I view it as injustice to me. I'll go to tribunal and I'll put this paper saying that my seniority was wrongly fixed. Am I using this as a document in the court of law or not? Should I use it or not? Answer is yes. And any evidence, you all must have studied Indian Evidence Act. It has to be produced before the court of law, and it has to be certified as a authentic piece of evidence, and then it has to be given weight. Am I right? By the judge. So if that process is allowed to happen, it will have its own strength as evidence. Otherwise, it's a piece of information.
Right. Padmavati ma'am, I would now request you to ask your question, please. Ma'am, you're on mute. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Now, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
evening, sir. Up till now, we have
Good evening.
spoken regarding the applicant side. Now, I would like to speak from the CPIO side. I would have to, like, I would
Most
like
welcome.
some
Most
queries to
welcome.
be clear.
Yeah, yeah.
Hello.
Are you CPIO?
Am I audible?
Yeah. Are
Hello.
you CPIO?
No, sir. I'm working in the
You're
postal
audible.
department and I'm dealing with the entire
PIO?
RTI cases.
And then,
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Madam Padmavati, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes,
I
sir. I
dealt
can hear you.
the postal department for 2 years when I was in
Yes, sir.
commission.
I've gone through many
And
of your
all my
decisions and
judgments
they're
you must
very
have
good
read,
decisions.
and you must have been angry against me also. So
No,
my
sir. No,
answers
sir. The
are found in
decisions are
those
very good.
judgments.
No, sir. I've gone through your judgments. They are very concrete judgments. Now, my complaint is, sir, there are people like some applicants, like the media trial, they are using this RTI as RTI trial. Despite supplying everything, whatever they wanted, they are asking them to come and check the files and take whatever you want after paying the requisite RTI fees.
That's
But
good.
there are some people from the past to 2016,
Right.
they are like, you know, what to say, troubling us with their RTI applications, and their applications do not contain anything, substance, like they contain only grievances. So grievances as per RTI Act, we are not supposed to solve their problems through RTI. RTI is whatever information you want and whatever is there in the file, we will supply them.
You're
But they
right.
want their grievances to be solved, and the present
You're
I see,
right.
sir,
You're
they are
right.
not they are not giving concrete decisions also, sir.
I will answer your question if you have completed your question.
Yes, sir.
You have completed your question? Okay, fine. See, first point is the unnecessary information being sought by some of the people. Absolutely wrong.
Yes,
You're
sir.
right. You're right, and they are wrong. They are not supposed to misuse it. I agree with you. I'm totally with you. Number one point. Okay. Number two, you say you can't do grievances redressal, but I'd like to tell you,
Yes, sir.
I will put up a petition to a government office, and nothing happens on that. I don't know what happened about it. Then I'll ask under RTI. I made a grievance petition, but I'd like to know the action taken report on it. Am I entitled?
Yes, sir, you're
Yes,
entitled,
thank you
and
so
we
much.
supply
Thank you
the
so much
action
for your
taken report.
very fantastic understanding of RTI Act. So what I mean to say is, suppose you have a redressal of grievance mechanism, I have a right to ask about that redressal. So you can't rule out that I can't redress my grievances through RTI. You cannot say that. I am telling you, you can enforce all your constitutional rights through RTI. Can't I redress a grievance? My point is, if
Sir, we are redressing
let
them.
me complete.
We are giving
Padmavati
them.
जी, पद्मावती जी, मैडम जी, मैं अब कमिश्नर नहीं हूँ, अब PIO भी नहीं है, सुनिए मेरी बात. What I am trying to tell you is, when I can use it for public interest. Public interest includes enforcement of rights. So I can use the information I got from the RTI, through RTI, for redressal of my grievances. That is one point. Third point, misuse. Misuse, I totally agree with you. People misuse everything, madam. People misuse everything. But my point here is, I am worried about non-use than the misuse. There are 130 crore people and you have only 60 lakh RTI applications every year. It is an example of non-use. I am worried, Padmavati madam. Non-use ke liye. If you don't use, I told you, you will lose. Please use, don't lose.
Yes, sir, we are using it. But
You, madam,
these
you are a PIO.
applicants, they want.
I want others to
Yes,
use.
sir. Sir, I draft for the First Appellant Authority and for the CPIU.
Right.
I
Very
have done LLM, so I'm dealing with the Postal Department RTI.
People need you,
The thing
madam.
is, sir, these
People need
applicants-
you. People
Yes,
need
sir.
you. People need you. Authority needs you. No, those who know law, they must head
Yes,
the
sir.
PIO and First Appellate Authority. You can do a lot of service with your knowledge of law.
Yes,
You can
sir.
do a lot of service.
Yes, sir. So these applicants, they want replies according to their whims and fancies.
Shall I tell
But
you
they
one more
don't
thing?
want replies
Madam Padmavati,
as it is available in the file.
shall I tell
Yes,
you
sir.
one more thing? Most of the misuses
sir.
are former employees of the public authority.
Yes, sir, you are right. All the Postal Department people are
Then you
harassing us
can't
like
blame
that.
people. You can't blame people. You have to blame your own department.
And what they're doing while in service, they are not asking, sir, and after retirement, they are
Then
troubling.
you know them. You know how corrupt they are. So you have answered my
All right.
question. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Padmavati
Thank
ma'am.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now we have
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Ananya
madam.
ma'am
Thank you.
and Siddharth sir. If you could kindly unmute yourself and ask the question. Ananya ma'am and Siddharth sir, if you can hear me.
Thank you very much, sir, for your very insightful presentation. We are all enlightened by it. Sir, I have a question. I need a piece of information from the land authorities in my district. Sir, sir, I need some papers regarding land mutation in a district in Uttar Pradesh. I apply an RTI to them, and sir, they don't respond back. So I filed my first appeal. They don't respond back to that also. I don't know my RTI number, my appeal number. So how do I file my second appeal? Can I file it without knowing the RTI number and the appeal number?
Yeah, you can. Do you have copy of RTA application?
Yes, sir.
Then do you have copy of, I think you have nothing else now other than, do you have acknowledgement of receipt of your application?
No, sir, nothing.
You must have it. You must have it. You have to post it. You have to post your application
I
with
posted my
a
application.
registered post acknowledgement due.
Yes, sir. That is what I have.
Then you can approach the commission.
Right, sir.
There are two approaches. One is complaint. You can straight away go without filing first appeal. The second is to go through first appeal and file a second appeal.
Right, sir. And in the second appeal, I should attach the postal receipt.
Yeah, everything, every document that you have to show
Right.
that you have applied, but they have not replied.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Ananya ma'am, can you hear me? Could you please go next? Ma'am is not audible. Sir, we have another question. The
Yes,
question,
please.
if the
Read out.
information is asked in question form, will we get it?
If you ask who is the president of India, you will get it. But if you ask every other information in the question form, there is no duty on PIO to answer it. Suppose you ask who is the second vice chancellor of an institution, perhaps it can be collected and given. But if you ask why my application is rejected, nobody can answer this question. You have to ask about the file pertaining to your information area. Then if you get the inspection of the file or copy of the file, you will get to know answers to all your questions. Perhaps without having information, you can't even raise a question. Huh? So my point is, the Right to Information Act, as Padmavati madam has rightly put it, she's an experienced person. She has rightly put it that you will have access to information in the files of public office. That's all. You can't ask questions. You can't ask answers. No, where should I study after LLB? Should I go to Britain, Great Britain or America? Aisa questions mat puchna. PIO of Rajiv Gandhi National University also cannot answer this question.
Yes, sir. So we will be taking up two last questions. The one question is, sir, if public authority answers public record is missing, what can an activist do in such a situation?
This is a very, very important question, serious problem. RTI did not address it. When I was in a commission, I had a great opportunity of talking to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. he came to inaugurate the CIC building. Then I sought a minute to raise this question. I said, all your efforts to make success out of this Right to Information Act may not bear fruits if you don't have mechanism to control missing files, because RTA doesn't talk about missing files. But my judgments, I gave at least 300 to 400 judgments on missing files. I said, my understanding is this. Suppose, I'll give the example of your university. Registrar of your university is the record holder of the documents of the university. And everybody who passed out of Rajiv Gandhi National Law University must have a record maintained in the register of university. Now, can anybody say that this record is missing? Can anybody say? Is there a duty not to miss this record? That is my point. So what I concluded was, if the office has a duty to maintain a record, but it did not find the file and called it missing file, it is the fault of the public authority, number one. Number two, I have to define a held. There's one wonderful expression in Right to Information Act, that is HELD, held. Held means what? Not judgment of Supreme Court. Don't they get held from that? Held means I am holding that information. I have that information. If you have it, you have to give. And if you have to have it, but you have lost it, I presume that you have it, but you lost it. So you are responsible for giving it this information. It's a big question. And I think if at all there is a need to change any law, your Vice Chancellor was talking about changes in the law. My first proposal to change in the law is, missing file is no defense to deny the information. And no file shall be missed. And if any file missed, the record officer will be liable for imprisonment. This law is important.
So-
I appreciate that person for raising this question.
So
First prize to him.
So we have another question. Is RTI available only to citizens or to every person within India? As Section 3 uses the word citizens, while Section 6 uses the word persons.
Very good question again. But he stopped with Section 6 only. I would have advised him to search for person in RTI Act. He will find it in more than a dozen places, more than half a dozen places at least. Then you tell me whether it is person or citizen. You tell me. It depends on the context. Suppose a wife in India is asking about her husband in America, and because she is the wife of American citizen, but living in India, if she is seeking any information about her husband, you tell me, will you treat her as citizen or person? What is the spirit of transparency? What is the spirit of law? So you go to spirit of law and interpret it according to context and understand that sometimes it is person.
So we have another question. Sangeeta ma'am has another question. She's asking, sir, in case of penalty, who pays and is it a personal liability?
Yeah, it is personal liability. Suppose it is office liability, everybody will be happily paying the penalty, everybody will happy, he doesn't lose anything.
So
Vicarious liability lies, but it is only under tortious situations, not under RTI Act.
So we have another question. The question is that how about the enforceability of CIC's decisions?
Yeah, somebody should ask a question. How about enforceability of Supreme Court decisions? 66A, IT Act 2066 struck down, but judgment is not implemented by thousands of police officers, thousands of officers. So there should be a strong mechanism for enforcement, securing enforcement of judgments of Supreme Court and judgments of CIC.
So we have one last question and then we'll be ending the session. The question is,
So, Tanisha, I just want to ask a question that is in continuation with the previous question. So, we're talking about the enforceability of the decisions of CIC. So as you said that political parties, now the CIC has declared that these political parties, they fall the habit of RTI, these political parties. Sir, I am not aware of this. I wanted to ask you that whether those 6 political parties have adhered to that, or since this petition that filed by Subhash Chandra is pending in the court regarding declaring all the parties to wait for
I
that.
have to talk for 1 more hour on political parties and RTI. But unfortunately, today's topic is freedom of speech and RTI. Okay, still I'll answer you briefly. The Subhash Chandra Agarwal's petition is not against the CIC decision of holding them as public authorities. Point number 1. Point number 2, all 6 political parties have violated the judgment of CIC. Further, they are liable for punishment. But do you know how it happens? It happens when a person files an RTI application with the so-and-so party, X party, and X party doesn't reply. He has to come to CIC in second appeal, and he must file a complaint before CIC, and then that complaint should be heard by the CIC. He has to issue notices to political party, bring them on board, and then issue penalty. This is the process. I initiated it. There were 30, very sorry to say, there were only 30 questions against political parties, 6 political parties, 30 questions only. I am worried. And 30 questions converted into 30 complaints, and 30 complaints were before me. And then I told you, in the beginning, the lawyers, every political party has hired a very, very highly paid law firm lawyer who are full of National Law School students, passed out of National Law School, brilliant students. They brilliantly argued, they brilliantly put up various kinds of petitions, and they brilliantly not allowed CIC's order to be implemented. And they brilliantly postponed the hearings until I retire, and I retired. And nobody pursued it. Brilliantly, nobody pursued it.
Shiva ma'am has a question. Shiva ma'am, can you please unmute yourself?
So this is going to be the last question. Any other questions if the participants have, they can mail it to us and we will forward it to the...
Yes, ma'am. So we have one more question. PM Care Fund is kept outside RTI. Your views, sir?
Who kept outside the RTI? PM Cares, PMO they are telling that they do not fall under RTI, but nobody kept it outside the RTI. Number 1, point number 1. Point number 2, Delhi High Court is hearing the petition, and the PMO has filed an affidavit recently. Most unfortunately, that PM case do not come under RTI Act, but it is their contention. It is not conclusion. So I hope Delhi High Court will give a proper judgment and bring it into the ambit of RTI Act. I hope it.
Dr. Shiva, can you please ask your question? And this is the last question for the evening, please.
Thank you, Dr. Gitika, for giving me an opportunity finally to ask my question. A very good afternoon, sir. It's been a pleasure and enlightening experience when it comes to RTI. Sir, my question is relating to the 3 banks that they have filed a petition in the Supreme Court against the RBI order. Sir, HDFC, SBI and Axis Bank, all of them together, they have approached Supreme Court to dismiss the RTI that has been marked to them by RBI pertaining to the disclosure of NPAs and risk assessments and the personal accounts of the customers. So that the timely information should be given to the public with respect to the fugitive, like the offenders or the regular offenders with reference to the NPAs in the banks. So, however, they have challenged this on the ground that this is going to be a violation of the mutual trust of the customer and the bank. So, to what an extent this position of these 3 good banks is justified? Point number 1. Point number 2, shouldn't they be meticulous enough to give this information on the compulsorily basis? What is your take on it, sir?
Madam, you are well versed with the issue. I can understand it from your question.
Yes, sir.
You must have read Jayanti Lal judgment.
Yes, sir.
Jayanti Lal judgment was confirmed twice by the Supreme Court.
Sir.
That is my take.
Yeah.
Then I also dealt with one of the RTA second appeals on RBI information. This is all a strategy of law firms in collusion with, I'm sorry to use this word, it's all the strategy of brilliant lawyers hired by the banking institutions, including its regulatory. First, they refused, RBI refused. Then Shailesh Gandhi gave 9-10 judgments to give information. All 10 judgments reached the Supreme Court via various high courts. Supreme Court Jayanti Lal Mishra emphatically rejected the contention that you have mentioned in your question. Fiduciary question was sufficiently answered. Then a question about information came. They again pleaded same defenses which are rejected by the Supreme Court. That petition was before me. And then I said, all the grounds that you have raised are rejected by Supreme Court in Jayanti Lal Mishra. So whatever Supreme Court has stated is law according to Constitution. Do you agree?
Sir,
So
partially I agree with that.
You can't partly agree with it. You have to fully agree with it. Because it is Constitution. It is not my judgment or your judgment.
Sir, because there are certain reservations with reference to...
No. Yeah, then it will be another class, madam. Another clash between you and me, another class for all of the participants. We can have time ready for that, but we have to respect the timings, you know.
Yes,
so
sir,
listen to me. Your question is complete and my answer is not. So listen to my complete answer.
Done, sir.
Supreme RBI has played games to postpone the giving of information and kept it under various number of litigations, paying huge amounts of public money to the law firms. I'm not against law firms. I'm talking about how the public money is spent. And then Supreme Court emphatically stated it, but it did not initiate contempt of court punishment against RBI. It should have been done. It has not done. Fine. Then what happened when it came to the compulsion, constraint to give information? They raised a ground that it is a third-party information, unreasonable, unethical, and against the good governance principle. And they transferred. They asked by letter they asked the banks to give information. By telephone they asked to fight it before Supreme Court. Most unethical. Regulatory. Most unethical regulatory. Bankers have stooped down to this level, unfortunately. Okay, now everybody is litigating.
Yes, sir. Everybody.
Unethical litigation, state litigation, bank litigation to protect whom? To protect the defaulters.
Yes, sir. Precisely, this is the point.
Injure whom? To injure you and me.
Yes, sir.
And we say 142 is not law for the country.
Yes.
That's not correct.
That
so
is
my answer is complete. It's over.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your insight. And thanks for your input on.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Nice question.
Thank you, sir.
So with that, we come to the end of the question and answer session. On behalf of Rajiv Gandhi National University of Law, I would like to thank you, sir, for taking out the time to interact with the participants on the topic freedom of speech in RTI. The students have most definitely greatly benefited from your thoughts and insight on the topic. Thank you for gracing us with your presence in today's event, sir. I would also like to thank our faculty coordinators, Dr. Gitika Walia, Dr. Shruti Goyal, and Ms. Sonika, for successfully organizing today's event. Lastly, I would like to thank all the attendees for making it a fruitful and interactive session, and I look forward to your continued participation in other events organized by RGNUL. With that said, I would now like to bring the first day of the RTI workshop to an end. Thank you, stay safe and stay healthy. We will meet tomorrow at the same time. Now, the participants and other attendees.
Participants are requested to please stay back just for a minute. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, it was an absolute honor to hear and talk about various aspects of RTI. So thank you so much, sir. Okay, all the participants, there are certain points that I want to make. Number one, that please, you are requested to keep your cameras on from tomorrow's session. And especially if you are asking a question, because it is a complete disrespect to the resource person if you do not switch on your camera and you're asking a question, right? So you're requested to keep your cameras on. Second, please, you're also requested to have a proper background when you're keeping your cameras on. Kindly please don't move, because I've seen यहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा disturbance होता है, आप घूम रहे हो and जो आपकी frame में है उसके लिए बहुत ज़्यादा ये disturbance वाला situation बन जाता है कि आप walk कर रहे हो, आप घूम रहे हो, आप लेटे हुए हो, because we all are professionals and we are actually here listening to people, those who have some kind of repute in the field of RTI or whatever field we would be talking about. And we all are professionals, so I don't think we need to tell each other this thing, that we need to give them respect for taking out their time to deliver a lecture to us, right? So kindly, it's a request. Please keep your cameras on. If you are asking a question, please switch on your camera and ask a question, because आप अपने आप को उस जगह पे रख के देखो कि आपसे कोई सवाल पूछ रहा है और उसका कैमरा बंद है और आपको पता ही नहीं है कि वो बंदा कौन है, right? Third, please, आप एक जगह पे still रह के please अपना कैमरा ऑन कीजिए. And यहाँ पे भी अभी भी I can actually see and I can actually feel that people are lying down and their cameras are on. So please, it's a request, because we all are professional people, we all are grown up, and I don't think that I need to tell the participants all these things. So you are kindly requested to do that, right? And the feedback form would be shared with you. जिनका यहाँ पे नहीं खुल रहा, उनका feedback form will be shared on the mails. So you're kindly requested to please fill the feedback form and then send us the same. Thank you so much, everyone. So we will meet tomorrow at the same at 2 o'clock. From 2 to 4, we will meet again tomorrow. So thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Shruti, ma'am. Thank you, Sonika, ma'am. Now the participants and the attendees may leave the meeting.
And Tanisha, Kunal, and all the students are requested to please stay back.
You can stop the meeting recording now.
Kunal, एक बार meeting